Whispering in his ear, my magic potion flow, telling him I'm sincere and that there's nothing too good for us. Hey, and I just gotta be free, yeah, free, free. Ooh. And I just got to be me, yeah, me, me. Oh, Nisi, I remember that one. Whispering. Oh, that was a beautiful song. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadijah. You know, I want to welcome you, each and every one of you, to the Mental House with me, your host, Khadijah. I think we're at the stage uh, of inhumanity where either we can see our digits apart and know that they're going to pick us off one by one, or we can clam together, make a fist, and strike a mighty blow. The choice is ours, family. The choice is ours because it always has been. We, the people, is more powerful than anything that can come against us. We, the people. But see, if you walking around with the old thoughts or them thoughts that you was handed down to you, and you don't understand anything that doesn't pertain to you and your family, and you don't have any knowledge or even any empathy for anybody that doesn't look like you, well, we're going to have to move you to the side because humanity is trying to move forward. And humanity is going to move forward. They always have and it always will until there is no humanity left. Okay? But I want y'all to hear something, and I thought this was pretty interesting because a lot of white folk are enraged. And it seems like they're enraged because they see that they're losing a grip on black people. It seemed like something happened to us uh, since in that last election. Whatever happened, it kind of woke a sleeping giant. See, for a long time we were sleeping, but I believe the giant has begun to wake, and you can feel it, you can sense it. I mean, it's just obvious to me. And I just want to know how many of y'all out there feel the same way. I mean, do you feel the sense of the universe striking, tilting? That's not a bad thing. That means as humanity, we pushing forward. We moving forward. All of us ain't gonna make it there because the aim of the enemy is to steal, kill, and destroy. But there are a hell of a lot more of us that are going to push through. We're going to push through this hard time, and we have a different sense of purpose. How many of y'all think after, or does it seem like it to you, or is it just me, that after the election, and we saw that D, DJT was president again, and when we saw the numbers, besides the cheating, I think there was a rude awakening inside of a lot of folk. And now what you have is uh, black people trying to get underneath the thing, just trying to be still and know that there's a power on the universe that's strong, and we have to be still and know and let it resonate through our spirits again. So I came across this video, and well, let me just go ahead and play it and shut my mouth.
So clear. Do y'all feel that? Do y'all feel that? I feel it.
You cannot win a progressive social movement and be a racist at the same time. I've said that before, I'll say it as many times as it takes. And you give that message to anyone who needs to hear it one more time. The message is you cannot win a progressive social movement and be a racist at the same time. And I don't even blame folks for thinking that you can. While he was still running for president, Abraham Lincoln was accused of supporting black rights. And accused is the word. Yes, it was like a debate question. It was like, can you address this? Because we heard you like them Negro. He said, whoa there, not too much. He said that if I could keep the Union together without freeing a single slave, I would do that. If I could keep the Union together by freeing some and not all, I would do that. If I could keep the Union together by freeing all of them, I would do that. Unity was more important than recognizing the humanity of black people. Every time I think of something called the Compromise of 1877, I just have to... 1877, Ulysses S. Grant was on his way out of the presidency. The Republicans were the good guys at the time, and their candidate, Rutherford B. Hayes, was one vote short in the Electoral College of winning the presidency. And the Democrats said, we'll let you be president, but here's the thing. You have got to stop federally protecting them black people, and you will continue to let Confederates govern the South. And they caved. They did it. And Rutherford B. Hayes was president. And then once the stolen United States needed to pay people to work, then we have a labor movement. And let me tell you something, racism is the original union buster. Labor unions broke up because of infighting and disagreements. You want to know what they was infighting about? They were infighting about whether or not to let black workers into the unions, about black workers being admitted into the union, but not given equal voting power. All of those covert operations by the police, corporations, and Ronald Reagan, they were just fanning the flames of the racism that was already there. Everybody wanted to put on the back burner until later, and then they ran out of later, and all the air traffic controllers got fired, and our federal minimum wage is still $7.25 an hour. A brief history. This country has taught you by example that you should cave to racism in exchange for small increments of change, neglecting to tell you, of course, that racism is the reason why the change you get is so incremental and small. And that's a win-win for them, because that's also what has you thinking that you can tear down this system without anti-racism in your toolbox. How are you supposed to fight against our rights being stripped away when you don't even have a full knowledge or respect for the reason why conservatives hate government oversight so much? The conservatives hate the DOJ, the Department of Justice, because it was created during Reconstruction so that the feds could prosecute the Klan. How you gonna pull that conservative, that liberal person, whoever, further to the left if you can't even respect the fact that racism is older than any of these political parties? Don't you ever forget that we had slave codes before we had a constitution. We had slave codes before we had a constitution. So what I want to know is why anyone on any part of the left think that they could put racism on the back burner and have a successful movement against a system that makes racism a priority. You cannot win a progressive social movement and be a racist at the same time.
We're Phoenix Energy.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa. Did that make sense to y'all? Did that make sense to you? Because it sure resonated with my spirit. You can't. You gonna have to you can't serve two masters. It can't be done. It can't be done. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me continue, because I get carried away. Y'all know it.
Every time I speak about oppression, some white guy somewhere always gotta pop off like, well, what about white people? We're oppressed too. Man, miss me with that weak ass take. You ain't oppressed cause you're white. You might be struggling, sure. You might be broke. You might be in pain, but that ain't because you're white. That's because this system beat the life out of poor folks, sick folks, working folks. White people just happen to fall into those groups too. That don't make whiteness a burden. It makes poverty the common enemy. And let's be real, if white skin was all it took to be oppressed, then explain why the average white household still holds over 6 times the wealth of the average black household in 2025. That gap hasn't shrunk in decades. It's still alive and well and fed by centuries of theft, redlining, slavery, and Jim Crow. You were born into a system rigged for you, and now that whole machine's breaking down, and you want to pretend you're starting at the same line? Nah. They'll throw one rich black celebrity or brown CEO in your face like, see, racism's over, but you can't cherry pick the top 0.01% and ignore the rest. One Oprah don't undo 400 years. The median black household wealth in 2025 is about $24,000. Latino households around $36,000. White households over $150,000. That ain't just a coincidence. That is generational theft. That's the game being rigged from day one. So if you're white and struggling, that ain't whiteness working against you. That's capitalism gutting the working class. Every shade of it. But you still ain't getting profiled in traffic. You still ain't getting schools defunded in your zip code just because you live there. You ain't burying family members from police bullets at the same damn rate. White folks don't carry that burden. You don't carry that fear. I'm not saying you ain't suffering. I'm saying don't lie about why. Don't confuse your paycheck with your pigment. You're broke because the rich treat labor like garbage, not because the world hates white people. That's not oppression, that's economic violence. And we all need to fight that together. But if you go around acting like your whiteness is a curse, like you're the real victim now, you're not just wrong, you're a part of the problem. James Baldwin said, as long as you think you're white, there's no hope for you. You want power? Link arms with the folks who've had a boot on their necks since before you were born. Quit crying for sympathy over your skin tone. That ain't never been the issue. You're not oppressed for being white. You're oppressed for being poor, disabled, overworked, underpaid, and disposable, just like the rest of us. And until you get that straight, you're fighting shadows while the real enemy keeps winning. So here's the deal. We rise together or we stay crushed alone. I don't care what color your skin is. If you're tired of getting bled dry by the rich, if you're done watching your people die poor while billionaires party, then stand up. Organize, fight like hell, not as white, black, brown, or anything else, but as the people, the workers, the ones they fear when we are united.
What
This
say
is a
you?
message for the black community and those who support it. We are still resting, but there is a tide shift. For one, 47 is very confused as to why we are not taking to the streets. He doesn't understand it. He just knew that using tax dollars to tear up the Black Lives Matter street, that was going to do it. Tearing down the buildings with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, he was sure that floating the rumor of pardoning Derek Chauvin would do it. His executive order to bring back segregation, all of his attacks on DEI, even though black people benefit the least from DEI, he was sure that would do it. It hasn't. And one thing that they didn't plan on at the end of the election, something that happened on November 5th, 2024, is when we all went into the voting booth and voted, and we were the only demographic that was united and held strong for democracy in this country. The 92% of black women who knew the assignment and knew what the stakes were, because we always do. The 78% of black men who held it down because they knew what would happen if they didn't. The black community knew the assignment. We became on the same wavelength. When Target did their thing, we collectively made them an example. Walmart, also losing money. Amazon, also losing money. Now, granted, allies that support the black community, the LGBT community, women, they've all been a part of that too. But black people have collectively been on the same wavelength. But in Trump's desperation to get us out into the streets, he is becoming more and more dangerous with his executive orders. On April 28th of this year, he signed an executive order. The executive order is titled Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Citizens. Now, we all know that Trump don't give a crap about innocent citizens, because if he did, he would care about due process. And he wouldn't try to get rid of habeas corpus, because that is how you know that a citizen is innocent or not. So what they want to do in this executive order is give cops more power and permission to profile, to brutalize people that they just think are guilty. That means us. He is trying to create another George Floyd, another situation that will get us into the streets. I say this so that we all can be cautious and we can all see and know what he is trying to do. This executive order further militarizes the police that were already militarized with tanks and riot gear that apparently they do not need when people are protesting that are of a lighter shade, but they need it for us. This also further protects law enforcement officers who are accused of misconduct or police brutality. Protects them because we know that they need to make it home to their families, but you don't need to make it home to yours. They fear for their life, even though they're the ones holding the weapon and pointing it at your back. This executive order also does something that we have already seen. This executive order threatens state and local officials who discriminate by enacting diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. If state and local officials are being inclusive, advocating for diversity and equity, they can be charged with discrimination charges. Now, Trump's DOJ's Civil Rights Department, who have defended the civil rights of people for 70 years now, they are no longer defending the rights of black and brown people, LGBT people, women, all of those people who are usually discriminated against. They are no longer going to be representing them. So if you have an issue of discrimination, the DOJ will no longer represent you because of discrimination. Make it make sense. They will now be focusing their attention on discrimination against white Christian people because they are the most discriminated group by far. Yeah. Now, I say all this to say there's a tide shifting. Even though black people are resting, we are focusing in on our communities, our black-owned businesses, our children, our education, all of that. Yes, we need to continue doing all of that. I have seen a shift in the boldness of these racist people. Neo-Nazi rallies and marches up there in Kansas City. YT women calling little autistic black children the N-word, getting $750,000 for that. But then there have been videos of black people letting those racist people know who think we are going back to the 1930s during the times that we were hanging in trees, that they were having picnics with us as the main course. Times where they could tell us which swimming pools to swim at, which water fountains to go to, where to sit on the bus. Alabama today is trying to resegregate its schools. Problem is, black people like me were born into freedom. It's going to be real hard to put that genie back in the box. So even though black people are resting, we're not going back to 1930. We are a different breed. But I say, be cautious, because 47 has already started putting things in place, specifically for us, because he wants us to protest. And when we protest, he will enact martial law. And he already has the orders in place to do that. We need to know the enemy that we are fighting. So what do? Stay out of the street. Do not protest, no matter what happens. What we will do is we will continue to organize and protest with our wallets, cheer on our allies who are out in the street, strengthen the black community, and to be there for each other. We will continue to support black-owned business with our wallets and our presence. We will continue to be united as we were on the 5th of November 2024 when we tried to save this country. We will continue to do what we do best, thrive in our excellence.
Whoa. Whoa. Can I get an amen? Can I get an amen, y'all? because that's what free looks like.
Have you ever heard of
That's what
yourself?
liberation looks like. Know the plan. Know that we have allies. We always have. There always have been John Browns, Viola Usos. There have always been Father Grappies and other allies. This is a war, a spiritual war for your mind and for your soul. But let me say, the Holy Spirit breathed in you his breath, and you became a living soul. So that transcends everything. That transcends everything. Your body may have to go through a few changes, but your spirit and the ancestors are with us now, because we are beginning to move as a people, as humanity. I don't know. What say y'all? Is it just me? How did I even say it? Is it me? Is it me? Or is that the way it really is? And that's because it shows what it feels like. Okay, I want to hear from y'all. Okay? Let me know what you think. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.